For years, Bill Gates have been on what you could call one of the most successful reputation rebuilding tours in modern history. But now, with the release of the Epstein files, that entire, carefully constructed image is facing its biggest crisis yet. So let's break down how we got here and what's really at stake.
Okay, so this right here, this is the bombshell allegation at the very center of this whole storm. It's an unverified claim that has sent absolute shockwaves through the worlds of tech, philanthropy, and, well, everywhere else. It's a deeply personal, incredibly damaging accusation, and it's forcing a public reckoning for Gates.
And you know, this didn't just appear out of thin air. It was unearthed from this massive trove of documents. We're talking over 3 million pages released by the Department of Justice. This data dump has pulled in a lot of powerful people, but it's proving to be uniquely and very publicly problematic for Bill Gates.
So here's the really weird part. The source for this explosive claim is, well, it's bizarre. It's a draft email that Jeffrey Epstein apparently wrote to his own email account back in 2013. It was never actually sent to Gates. And that raises a huge question. How on earth did we get to a point where an unsent, self-addressed email could threaten to completely unravel the legacy of one of the world's richest men?
To really get what's going on, you first have to understand that for the past few decades, there have been two very distinct public versions of Bill Gates.
I mean, just look at the stark contrast here. On the left, you've got the ruthless CEO of Microsoft. His 1998 antitrust deposition pretty much cemented his image as a corporate bully. But then, on the right, you have the global philanthropist, focused on saving lives. This transformation, it was no accident. It was a decades-long project.
In this timeline, it lays out the strategy perfectly. That 1998 deposition was a real low point for him. But just 2 years later, boom, he establishes the Gates Foundation. Then comes the massive seal of approval from Warren Buffett in 2006. By 2021, the job is done. He's polling as one of the most admired men on the entire planet. A complete and total reputational overhaul.
And this quote, well, it says it all, doesn't it? This image makeover was not a happy accident. It was a deliberate, calculated, and incredibly well-funded strategy. He knew that perception was everything, and he invested billions in reshaping his public identity.
Which brings us right to the core vulnerability, the one relationship that threatens to undo all of that work, his connection to Jeffrey Epstein. This association is, without a doubt, the greatest threat to the brand he spent 2 decades building.
Now, according to Gates, the story is pretty straightforward. He says he met with Epstein a handful of times, and that was purely to discuss raising money for global health. He's been very clear that he never visited Epstein's island or did anything illicit, and he now frames the whole thing as a major error in judgment.
These are his own words to the public. It's a very clear expression of regret, an apology for spending any time with Epstein at all. It's an attempt to contain the damage and, frankly, to distance himself from the absolute toxicity of the Epstein name.
But a very conflicting story quickly came from his now ex-wife, Melinda French Gates. Her words are much sharper. She uses the word muck and makes it pretty clear she thinks there are still questions for her ex-husband to answer. This really highlights the deep personal damage the relationship caused, damage that is now spilling out into the open.
So let's get back to the present day and look at the real-world consequences of these files coming out. Because this isn't just about bad press. We're talking about tangible fallout that is actively unraveling that carefully crafted image.
This is all happening because of a specific law, the Epstein Files Transparency Act. It literally mandated the Department of Justice to release these records. So this isn't a leak, it's a legally required disclosure, which gives the contents, no matter how unverified they are, a certain kind of weight.
This table really lays out the core conflict. On one side, you have these explosive, unproven allegations from Epstein's weird, unsent emails. And on the other, you have a swift and total denial from Gates' team, who frame it as a failed attempt by Epstein to either defame or maybe even extort him. And the fallout has been immediate. Beyond just the public denials, Gates has had to apologize directly to his foundation staff, admitting his actions cast a shadow on their work. He canceled a major public appearance to avoid being a distraction, and now he's even facing potential scrutiny from Congress. This crisis is escalating fast.
So this leads us to the biggest question of all. Is his legacy, this 20-year-long project of rebuilding his brand, now under serious threat? This is what it looks like when personal character and public brand collide head-on.
So here it is, the crucial point.
The damage isn't just from the salacious, unverified claims. The real crisis is that the mere association with Epstein attacks the three pillars of his philanthropist brand: his judgment, his transparency, and the moral high ground he needs to lead on global issues.
And that leaves us with the final, really provocative question. Bill Gates spent billions of dollars and 2 decades transforming himself from a corporate bully into a global icon. Can all of that work, all of that strategic PR survive a scandal that strikes at the very heart of his character and credibility? That's the question that will define his legacy from this point forward.